Hey there, everyone. Michael Damon back for another episode of Stand Up and Shine and Shill. It's the second episode here. Last week I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this, but I can already tell that, I might be able to pull this off here. I got a weekly check-in to kind of let you know what's been going on with the project Starbeam.one. And that is the project here, and a stand-up just to kind of let you know what I've been working on, what I will be working on, and kind of just going over any points of friction that are occurring within the product. So without further ado, let's check it out. All right, we got some statistics here, and I'm getting kind of overboard. I'm wanting to have a dashboard, and if you compare them with last week's statistics, they're actually not all that different. It really didn't. We'll get into what happened this past week, but one thing you can see is a lot of connections. We had a lot of people checking out the site, and we'll get into the reason why. But the rest of it really wasn't a lot of that more activity, although I did produce another product. I'm getting into kind of a routine here, wanting to do daily art, and that's sort of a focus, and we will get into more detail around that. But yeah, we'll get into the connections. That's sort of the highlight for this week. And as you can see, we had about 400. Right now, we're averaging about 30 connections a day. And so a connection is, I'm using that as a signal R term or a session. So everything's over a WebSocket these days. And so when someone connects to the website, that's through a connection or a session. That's how I'm recording that, and that's what that means. Okay, so what did I do this past week, right? I'm supposed to do developer ops story, and then, trying to get into the dashboard. None of that happened because what I ended up doing was kind of announcing things where I've kind of finishing what I started with marketing and doing the announcement. And, I went on Reddit, and that was a really scary thing, actually, because Reddit is brutal. I mean, it's sort of like a more honest Twitter, right? They have a down button. And, that just always freaks me out because it seems like anything that I do on Reddit immediately gets downvoted. No matter what it is, no matter how nice or whatever, right? It's just immediate downvote. And that happened, actually. That happened when I posted this announcement, and it's in the comments. You'll see that with YouTube. And, but after that, it started getting upvotes. And I think it was like 16, 17 upvotes. I went up to 17, and now it's down to 16. So I did get another downvote there. It's just brutal, right? It's just it's more brutal than Twitter, and Twitter is pretty cold too. But anyways, kind of the point with that is that it got a lot of traffic. Everyone connected, and there's a lot of connections from that. 200 people in one day, which is really awesome. And the whole point that I wanted to make with the Reddit posting was to show, hey, it was to a Blazor Reddit. And, this is what's possible with Blazor sort of thing, and mission accomplished, that sort of happened, but no one actually used it. It was really interesting to watch just all these connections, but no one did anything with it. We had one new account was created, and some person did deposit. So thank you. But no like sales or resales or anything like that. So it's just a totally different ballgame, right? This is totally foreign to me. It's compared to like how I've done projects in the past where it's just get traffic, right? And you get as much traffic as possible, and then advertising pays for it, right? Sort of thing. That's in theory. But now it's more than just get traffic. You need to convert. You need to convert these to accounts, and then you need to convert them to sales, right? And then you need to convert them to resales. So there's 3 or 4 different tiers here that I'm defining. And, just with Reddit, that all that happened with a connection. So kind of cool. I really wasn't expecting much. But, I also got a gold award, which is awesome. I kind of went overboard with thanking the person. It was an anonymous gold award with Reddit because you can gift people like free, ad-free browsing, things like that. So I got that, and I got those upvotes. So, I'm not complaining. That's kind of a win, even though there wasn't much activity past that. But that was a highlight. And then the next thing that happened is I tried to get on Facebook again. And so, one of the things I'm trying to do here is promote this to artists. That's really the big thing right now, is that's kind of showing like, no one's really going to use this unless they know the artist or they know an artist that's using this, right? And they see the art and they're familiar with something. There's nothing that's familiar with anyone right now. So I totally get it, right? I totally understand that. And I'm thinking about how I would think about it, right? I wouldn't use this because, I don't know who made this, and I don't know anyone that's on it. So totally understandable. So what I need to start doing is getting artists. I need to have artists that people know, people are familiar with, and start using this thing, right? And so I'm kind of in between this, launch official. I'm in preview right now, and then I've got this official launch in May, which I'll get to in a little bit here. But I'm in between the zone, right? About 2 months to kind of just really test things out. And so far, so good, right? Haven't been any major exceptions just yet. And, that's what I'm trying to do. It's all about getting those artists right now. And that's really the focus of mine is, just reaching out to artists and getting them to test. Unfortunately, I don't know a lot of artists, off of Twitter or whatnot. They're all on Facebook for me personally. I knew a lot of creatives out in the Seattle area. And so I was just thinking, I'll just sign back into Facebook and I'll put the announcement out and I can start getting artists that way. Well, it turns out my Facebook account got released. So that's not supposed to happen. When you deactivate your Facebook account, to kind of catch you up, I deactivated my Facebook account about 3 years ago. And, when you deactivate it, you're supposed to be able to just sign back in at any time and you get your account back. Well, that didn't happen. My account was released to a resident out in over in Mexico, and now it's no longer mine. So I had about a network of, I forget how many. I want to say between 400 to 600. Keep going between those two numbers. And there were a lot of creatives and a lot of people that I knew that were into fine art or produced music that could test this thing out. And now I have none of that. And so it's just one of those things. It's like, it's just adding to the challenge here of, okay, how do I get off the ground? How do I help, get traction here and kind of like take this to the next step, right? Because there's only like 8 weeks before I actually connect the actual real money from PayPal and from Stripe and kind of turn on the faucet, so to speak. So anyways, that was kind of where I put all my energy into. And, Facebook, any sort of social networking is stressful to me. It's especially new, right? And I didn't know what to expect, and I had to add all my friends again, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And, and it's always just that, I need to shill, right? I was getting back to the shilling part. I need to shill my goods here. And now I'm going to become that guy who owns a business. And now I have to be careful. I don't want to become annoying. I don't want to become the annoying business guy that's always shilling my goods sort of thing. So I gotta acclimate to that. It's stressful, right? It takes cycles. And same thing with Reddit. All I did the entire day is just watch. I was just like, wow, people are actually, and hoping nothing broke, which is, really a great sign. Very positive of that. But, it still takes cycles, and it's an emotional cycle, and I really wasn't able to focus on getting what I was supposed to be working on, which I ended up eventually getting to, and we'll talk about that. Actually, we can talk about that now. So getting that into developer operations and getting back into Azure. And as you recall, this is getting it so that we can have basically what are called slots. And so different versions of the application. So when I deploy, it goes into one slot, and then I can have another slot, and then I can swap them so that if something goes wrong in one slot, I have that backup just in case. Because what happens right now is I deploy everything, and everything goes out there, and for better or for worse. So if something's broken, then I have to redeploy. I have to fix it and redeploy, and hopefully that didn't break anything, sort of thing. So it's like 20 minutes. But having those slots there to swap back and forth means that if something breaks, I can just go back to the old version, and I could do more than that if I wanted to. So I ended up doing that finally after a couple of days of kind of chilling out from all the social activity. And then I realized, there's a challenge to that. And that is with the database, getting the database. If there's any sort of database upgrading that happens, that's also a problem too. So I had to do some research into that because it's really difficult to roll that back, right? And the best solution I came up with, just, with the constraints and everything, was to have a staging environment, which I should have been doing. This is kind of what that is having a staging environment. But in order to have a staging environment, you need to have everything. Everything needs to be replicated, and it has to be pretty close to what you have in production. So I have to go through Azure, and I have to reproduce every single component that's in Azure, and that took 3 weeks. That took 3 weeks to do when I first did it for the production. Now, it's not going to take 3 weeks here, but it took a little bit longer, right? I was hoping like 3.5 days, and that took about a day and a half just to kind of analyze all the pieces and what I have to do. So anyways, long story short here is that I'm pretty close to actually having a Developer Ops version 2 done, and it's just going to be really basic. It's more like Developer Operations 1.5, and what it's going to do is just have a staging environment, and it's pretty close. And what the idea here is that you release to the staging environment, and then the database updates that staging database. And you make sure that works, and then hope that when you swap the slots over into production, that everything works there too, because it's also going to do the database updating and things of that nature. So that's kind of the system I landed on, and I'm about a day and a half, hopefully, to have that done, and we will see. I will update next week. We'll see how I did. Okay, so what did I do? And now, kind of, what am I doing? And it kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? It's basically what I was doing last week, and I'm closer. I've got about, like I said, a day and a half. So on the left there is you got a spreadsheet, how I do estimates. I've been doing this for over 2 years now, and it's worked out really well for me. Is just estimating by days, so half days, full days, things of that nature, and I never get more granular than that. And that's what you see there. So right now I'm working on the preview alpha features. That's halfway down there on the left side. This is my Excel. I just took a screenshot of what I use to estimate and keep track of all of my estimates. And as you can see, I've got those 3 tasks of the story. The story or feature is the preview alpha features, and developer operations 2. I just got done talking about that. I'm basically done with having the environment stood up. Now I just need to deploy to it and then make sure everything works. And that's going to take some time too. So it might actually end up being a little bit more than a day and a half. That's how much time I have dedicated to that. And then it's on to the dashboard. And I want to have that dashboard. So where you see the statistics, I'm just taking a screenshot of that dashboard or doing it real live time and have you take a look at it in live time, because anyone will be able to take a look at that. And that's kind of the thing of having that openness and that transparency. Very big believer in that any way possible. So hopefully that will be done. And that might take a little bit more than a day and a half as well, sort of thing. Maybe 2 days, 2.5 days. We'll see. And then finally, observability. And this is getting into knowing what's happening in the application. So right now, the only thing I know happens is an error. Really comfortable around that. And, I got email alerts and everything that works really well. And so I know when an error occurs, and they've all been really non-intrusive sort of thing. Nothing is along like workflow. That's really what I'm concerned with, is knowing, when a workflow broke. Like someone tried to make a sale and it broke. It didn't finalize for some reason. So none of that's happened yet. But there have been a few errors with like Blazor, like connection errors, and like the JavaScript client wasn't connected sort of thing, or the JavaScript proxy, probably a better way of explaining that. Just things like that. Not really like major, like a workflow thing. That would be like super major. That's like my primary number one concern. And so that's what observability does. It's just kind of like, adds more visibility into what is happening in the application. And, when someone makes a sale, who's making that and what did they buy sort of thing. I have none of that right now. So all I know when a sale occurs, I kind of just poke around on the products and see what has a new sale sort of thing. And so that's observability. Okay. So the other thing too, I kind of wanted to talk about, is that I moved the announcement for the alpha 1 week. So that is now on the 3rd of May. I'm going to do that on the first week. So the first Tuesday of every month, I think I mentioned this last episode, is that the first Tuesday I always have it, that's what I did throughout the development of starbeam.one, before I made an announcement. I was doing like a monthly check-in every first Tuesday of every month. And that's kind of, I'm kind of circling that just to keep that in line. So, with the preview announcement, that was on a Tuesday, but it was on the 22nd. It was on February 22nd. It was kind of a cool date, and that's why I went with it, but it's not the first Tuesday. So I'm, just with what happened this past week, kind of slipping a little bit. I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to move that back and, kind of reach that cadence again. The first Tuesday of every month is kind of like an announcement. I'll still be doing these episodes, these weekly check-ins, stand-ups, weekly, excuse me. But, on the first Tuesday every month is kind of, that will be like more of like, I'll do a blog post to kind of keep everyone up to date, sort of like the weekly, but a little bit more formal, I guess, sort of thing. That's kind of how I envision it. And then if there's any like major announcements, like an alpha, that's when that would occur too. So that's kind of what I'm going with. And I think that wraps everything up on this slide. Yeah. So that brings you up to date with what I have been doing or what I'm going to be doing. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's move to the next slide here. All right, friction points. These are exactly the same as last week. I'm just I really didn't do much on this screen. I'm kind of wondering what to. I don't want to be such a nag, but also I kind of need these things fixed. It's just there's a reason why I'm nagging, sort of thing. And JetBrains are well aware of that. I haven't really gotten any confirmation yet on yeah, we know it's a problem and we're going to fix it. It's more of like, yeah, we know it's a problem and it's going to take all of these refactorings and it almost sounds like they're not going to do it, sort of thing. And that's kind of concerning. So that's the JetBrains. And Microsoft, they've been really great. Microsoft is just really awesome. The feedback there, the development tool, development community, they're so great. Everyone there is just such a professional. I just can go on and on about them. So they've been really good at checking in, everything in the report, they check in. I get reply to every single thing. And it's just, it's such an amazing application, right? An amazing service, and they do such a great job. The other thing too, I'll have this posted in the comments, is just figuring out this OAuth 2 thing. So I'm on the Twitter community, which is like the only form of support you really get. And no one can really answer this question. No one really knows the answer to this question about what happens when your Twitter profile gets suspended. And does that impact your OAuth, registrations? And it's been like almost a month now, and no one can really answer. They're kind of giving suggestions like, you should use email and password, which I've gone over in the introduction series. That's not a good idea. That's not how I've designed this, and people should stay away from that as much as possible. But I'm not like that. I appreciate the suggestions, but that's, it's still not answering the question. It's like, we're trying to sweep this under the rug sort of bit kind of thing. But what happens when your OAuth gets suspended? Sort of, we still don't have an answer. So that's sort of kind of a thing I'm kind of, and the thing with this is that you have to reply within 14 days or the thread gets closed. And it's like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to be a nag, but not too much of a nag. But that's kind of going on. That's what's going on with that. Effectiveness level. So, last week I said I didn't know what to call it. I landed on this. I think I had it right the first time. Effectiveness. How effective do I feel? And you can see it went down. It was a 4 last week. It was 3.5, and this week it's also the thing that's happening is a war, right? And this happened with the pandemic. The pandemic was like, I got nothing done. In fact, I think kind of in a way, I'm glad that happened because it sort of prepared me for dealing with a war, because a war is kind of just as bad, right? If not worse. And, because it can get worse, it can always get worse sort of thing. And it can impact a lot more people really soon kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of playing a role. And, I didn't really do much with Facebook, just getting acclimated to that. And, with Reddit, I was just staring at a screen, man, like, whoa, I'm getting traffic. No one's doing anything, but I'm getting traffic, sort of thing. And so that was kind of cool, but I didn't get much done. And, overall, I'm kind of out of my element with Azure DevOps. I kind of see this as something that someone else should be doing, even though I can do it okay. I just need to get into the zone. So there's all these distractions, and it's just like really difficult to just get into the zone sort of thing. So right now I don't feel very effective. I'm at a 2. It's kind of declined, but it's one of those things where there's nowhere else to go but up. That's what I'm hoping. So that takes care of that one. Okay, that does it for this week. I try to do the shilling, and unfortunately, won't be any shilling this week, which is sad because that's my favorite part. But the internet connection keeps dropping, and the other thing too is that I've got these new covers on the way. And what I wanted to demonstrate this week was the purchasing and showing what you purchased, and the covers that I have on the way. I've already seen them. They look great. It's going to add it to a whole new level. It's going to help communicate a little bit more about what I have in mind around that. And so I'll just wait until next week. Just kind of a shorter session this week, and I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about that. But hopefully you can see that. Feel that we're getting a little bit of a rhythm here. Kind of getting used to, at least I am, of kind of doing the, getting into a routine. Kind of get into the scheduling, adapting to that, and this is definitely something I'm looking forward to actually during the day. So I think this is definitely something that's going to happen every week, and I'm appreciative of it, and I appreciate you watching. And if you liked or subscribed, definitely a very big fan of that. And if you can continue liking and subscribing, definitely a big fan of that as well. And just wanted to say thank you for your support and for all the assistance and anything out there that you can, all the feedback. Just leave a comment in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can also contact me via the QR codes. Those are QR codes that you see there, and I will also get in touch with you. I'll respond to each and every one, constructive or otherwise. And hopefully I'll see you there. And until next week, stay bright.